सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। 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 Please repeat. सर्ववेदांत सिद्धांत गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji has been elaborating on the point that action by itself cannot give immortality. Action cannot give liberation. 7th verse he mentioned that even if person has wealth, that wealth by itself cannot give immortality. He quoted the scriptures, the story of Yajnavalkya ji and Maitreyi, where Yajnavalkya ji gives this teaching that by wealth immortality cannot be gained. We had seen the importance of quoting scriptures. It is not that whatever Shankaracharya ji said before was incorrect. What he wants to say there is, whatever I am saying is authentic and it is in line with what is said by Shastra. It is just like a lawyer quoting the law when arguing his case. He says, this point is mentioned there. That is why I am quoting it. And we had seen the importance of pramana buddhi. Pramana buddhi means, what does my intellect accept to be true? Whole world might tell us we are samsari. And one tiny Upanishad, one line tells us, you are not this body, you are not this mind, you are that blissful self, untouched by samsara. Whom do I accept as true? World plus my experience or Upanishads? That where there is, I will accept that thing to be true wherever I have pramana buddhi. It is not that we have pramana buddhi in world. In world, really speaking, we don't think too much. It is not pramana siddha, it is avichara siddha. Panchadashi Vidyaranya Swamiji says, avichara kruto bandhaha. Bondage is because I did not think clearly. So pramana buddhi, it will help us immensely in our spiritual journey. It will make Upanishadic study more absorbing and deeper in the sadhaka. And we saw a practical aspect of that also. Whatever we want to communicate, how will that other person, or when will that other person get what we are saying? Only when that person has pramana buddhi in us. When will that person do what we are telling them to do? Only when he thinks person A as authentic, pramana buddhi. Wherever you see, this philosophy will apply. Parent communicating to the child and friends communicating to the child. What will the child end up doing? There where he has pramana buddhi. Whatever he thinks to be true, that he will do. Sometimes children, they get some inspiration from some author or some doctor. Whole life parents might be telling him, eat fruits. But only when the doctor tells him, if he says eating blueberries is good every day, not only he will eat, he will make everybody else eat. What changed there? Same message parents are also giving. Eating fruits is good. Pramana buddhi was not there. Moment he has pramana buddhi in that doctor, whatever he says is good. You wish that doctor also told him, meditate every day. Pray every day. And it works. If they have pramana buddhi, whatever they say they will do. And how does pramana buddhi come? One, it comes through God's grace. In whom will that child have pramana buddhi? We cannot demand. Bhagavan's grace will decide what they will accept to be true. But second aspect is also there. Conduct of a person brings pramana buddhi in that person. That's why Bhagavan Krishna had mentioned yadyad acharati shreshtaha, not yadyad vadati shreshtaha. Whatever things a person embodies in his conduct, sayat pramanam kurute, that becomes the authentic means for others to emulate. So one part of pramana buddhi comes through God's grace. Another part comes through integrity in conduct. Even those people in whom we have pramana buddhi, it has come only because we have seen integrity in them. The main point here is, first is conduct, acharana. God's grace bringing pramana buddhi. Pramana buddhi brings effective communication. If I want effective communication, where should I pay attention to? Acharana. Because we have no control over whether that other person will do it or not. But in our own acharanam, we have full control. So that brings pramana buddhi, that brings effective communication. But here the main point was, we should have pramana buddhi in the right people, also in Shastra. We discussed this point just to appreciate how that pramana buddhi is very widespread. It is not only with scriptures. Okay. Then 8th verse, Bhagavan Shankaracharya said, what are the steps for spiritual life? First step, he said, dropping rajasic and tamasic joy. And second step is approaching a teacher. Rajasic, tamasic joy, he said, drop the spruha for joy coming from outer object. But we cannot just drop it bluntly. We should appreciate, first I have to drop tamasic, then the rajasic. Sattvic is innocent. That will help me shift my attention to the truth. Thanksgiving time, the topic we have chosen is 18th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavan mentions different types of sattvic, rajasic, tamasic things in our life. He says, what is, if I say intellect, he will talk about what is sattvic intellect, rajasic intellect, tamasic intellect. Joy, he will say 3 types are there, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. And he doesn't make a choice for us. He says, you have the choice to pick. That's why the title is Power of Choice. He just lays it out next to each other. Very, very relevant for sadhaka, particularly teenagers. That is a time when we have to make a lot of choices. And Bhagavan says, listen to what are the different types of choices available. Next verse is very popular and oft quoted. It has echoes from Bhagavad Gita. Uddharedatmanatmanam magnam samsara varidhau yoga rudhatvam samyak darshana nishtaya uddharedatmanatmanam magnam samsara varidhau yoga rudhatvam asadya samyak darshana nishtaya. Atmana atmanam uddharet. By the self, one should lift the self. Now first, self is referring to intellect. Atmana means by the intellect. Atmanam uddharet. Lift the mind which has a tendency to slip. First step in spiritual journey is to start appreciating where our mind is right now. I can lift a thing only when I know where it is. In simple words, what this means is, let us not fall back on older habits. Mind will do that. Whatever good things we have built for ourselves, very quickly it will go back. Who will stop me? Nobody else can stop. Nobody can help. Puja Guruji has composed tips for happy living. The talks are being telecast right now. First sutra there is, we cannot live another person's life. That person might be the most near and dear one to us. He says, mutual help is possible. I will have to take care of my own mind. And who will help me there? My own intellect, which has done and heard the right perspectives. So whenever we hear new things, one who is listening to that is really the intellect. Mind is also there. But if you hear something which you don't agree with, intellect puts a cross there. Or it puts in a bin. Let us search later. Right now I don't agree. But when it comes to working or implementing those ideas, the implementing authority is the mind. And a sadhaka feels, I know so many things, but I am unable to live up to those things which I myself believe in. I've heard so many things, my intellect agrees on those things. But that implementing thing is mind which is turbulent. So here Bhagavan says, let us lift that mind with the intellect. Nobody else can help us there. Means first uddhara we have to do is of ourselves. Sometimes what happens is, even sadhana, we start doing it for world peace. Restless minds seeking world peace. Spirituality first message, that's why it is called as Adhyatma Shastra. Adhyatma Shastra means that which will help me become a better person. When will the world become a good world that we are living in? He says that you don't worry. There is Bhagavan who is taking care of world. He says you first take care of this mind which is slipping time and again. group of unhappy individuals trying to build happy society. Is if individuals are happy, society is happy by itself. So uddharet atmana atmanam is first work on your mind. That is advice of Bhagavan to all of us. We are familiar with this advice. When we go in the airplane, what do they say? If the oxygen level drops, first put your mask, then somebody else's. Magnam samsara varitav. Where is this mind fallen? He says this mind is fallen in ocean of samsara. Ocean of samsara, he says every sadhaka will have to define it for himself. What is samsara? Whatever takes my mind away from Bhagavan is samsara. Generally what we feel is, oh, I have a lot of stress at work, that is my samsara. Karma Yoga tells us we can do that same work remembering the Lord. Our daily duties and responsibilities are not stopping us from remembering Bhagavan. So I can do my work and remember Bhagavan. But let us say if I have thought of jealousy, I cannot be jealous and remembering God at the same time. If I have thought of anger, greed, lust, those qualities cannot be there, and I say, I am remembering Bhagavan also. So these negative qualities will be our samsara. And the advice given here is, lift the mind out of these thoughts. Magnam samsara varitav. Now whenever Shankaracharya gives an example, he has a very specific point to say. Why does he give samsara example and ocean example? Why does he compare samsara with an ocean? How many of you have tried swimming in an ocean? Middle of the ocean, huh? Not sure. Middle of the ocean. Because that is the samsara he is talking about. Somebody who is swimming in the middle of the ocean, you see no banks anywhere. All four sides is only water. So this sadhaka who is looking around in his samsara, he sees only problems around. You solve one thing, another thing is waiting. So that feeling a person gets swimming in the middle of the ocean, not knowing when is it going to end. That is how this person in samsara feels. When will my problems end? And if you are swimming in the middle of the ocean, your legs don't touch the ground. Some people are very good swimmers as long as the feet touch the ground. Now and then it should touch. Then they are very good. Meaning what? Person who is in samsara, he feels, I don't have any ashraya. He doesn't know how to come out of it. That feeling of insecurity continues. And if you are in the middle of the ocean, you get tired swimming. Nothing doing, you cannot stop. How many times you have gotten tired of samsara? But there is no option of stopping. So notice all these points he says of samsara and lift the mind out of all these negativities. There is no point in calling duty as samsara, responsibility as samsara. They don't stop us from remembering God. These qualities which are negative, they are mutually exclusive with bhakti. They are mutually exclusive with seeking the truth. They both cannot go together. Atmana atmanam uddharet. Then he says, yoga rudhatvam asadhya. Having attained yoga rudhatva. Yoga rudhatva means mastery over the mind. 6th chapter we have seen this. There are 2 stages. First, you take analogy of a horse. It's easier to understand. Stage 1, person trying to climb on the horse. Time and again the horse throws him off. Puja Guruji shared this. One person was trying to get on a horse. Somebody else asked him, "Where are you going?" He said, "Ask the horse." That is our stage in sadhana stage, arurukshu. We try to control the mind, mind shows how strong it is. And second stage is somebody who has sat on the horse. Ashwaruda he has become. So that horse represents mind. So this sadhaka has mastered the mind. Now Bhagavan Krishna doesn't leave any ambiguous terms. What does mastering the mind mean? He says this person has 3 attributes. Yoga Rudatva, if he has gotten, he has 3 characteristics. First is, he doesn't get distracted by sense objects. No matter who tells him what, he is not fascinated or distracted by sense objects. Second is, he is not helplessly drawn towards actions. Actions, what he is not supposed to do, his vasanas don't push him into those areas. And third, he says he doesn't make erroneous resolves. That, oh, if this thing happens, I'll be happy. If I get that thing, I'll be content. One who is not having these 3 things, or one who is having these qualities, that person is yoga ruda. Not distracted by sense objects. Second one was not helplessly drawn towards actions. And third one is doesn't make erroneous resolves. Yada hinendiyartheshu na karmasu anushajjate sarva sankalpa sannyasi yoga rudah tada uchyate. He is called as yoga ruda when he has these 3 things. Having attained that and samyak darshana nishtaya, having a clear vision, lift the mind out from this samsara. Uddharet atmana atmanam. You know, this verse is so important. We will have to sit down and think, where is my mind getting drowned right now? Where is my mind sinking? The irony is, this is not as obvious as an ocean. This is like sinking in a quicksand. Sinking in a quicksand, you don't know that you are sinking, but it is slowly swallowing us. So what are those things which are stopping me from remembering Bhagavan? Exclude duties, exclude responsibilities. They will not stop us. In fact, whole karma yoga is doing that duty as worship of Bhagavan. And practical version of this is, whenever our mind makes good resolve, whenever intellect makes good resolve, mind will show different colors. You say, I want to meditate in the morning. Somehow you will get busy. And the moment you sit, mind will say, first have breakfast and meditate. If you say evening prayers, that I want to do every day. Just at that time, some social commitment will come. That time we have to remember this verse, Uddharet atmanah atmanam. May we seek Bhagavan's grace such that our mind does those things which our intellect endorses. First, intellect has to endorse the right things. Then mind should end up doing it. Next verse, Bhagavan is giving another perspective. What should this sadhaka do now? Sanyasya sarva karmani bhava bandha vimuktaye yatyatam panditair dhiraih atmabhyasa upasthitaih sanyasya sarva karmani bhava bandha vimuktaye yatyatam panditair dhiraih atmabhyasa upasthitaih. Sanyasya sarva karmani. Now Shankaracharya is getting into his favorite term that he'll keep repeating several times. All actions person has to give up. Literal meaning is that sarva karmani sanyasya. Now this literal meaning doesn't help us much. Because how can a person give up all actions? Who is going to do work? Who is going to take care of family? So one way to understand it is, one should give up strong doership in action. What is sign of strong doership? Inability to take critique. That is a sign of strong doership. That one can give up. We had seen that story of Yamaraja and the sculptor. Don't worry, you don't remember, I'll tell it again. Yamaraja, he sends his Yamadutas to pick up few people every day, So they come, Yamadutas, and their thing is, whomever they put the noose on, they have to take that same person, not somebody else. So this sculptor, what he does, makes 12 statues, just like him, and stands as one of them. It was so nice, our Yamadutas, they can't figure out which one is who. And they remember that clause, if you put that noose, you can't remove it. So they go back to Yamaraja and say, we have all were successful, one person we have problem. That he is made 12 of his statues, we don't know who he is. Yamaraj says, you don't worry, human beings have one problem, one weakness. Yamaduta says, what is that weakness? He says, just watch. So Yamaraja comes, looks at all the statues, praises them. Oh, they're so nice, exquisite. But this one, the nose is little long. And the sculptor says, how come? Yamaraja looks at them and says, this is their weakness. Whatever thing they do, they have such strong doership, that becomes our bondage. So what is Sanyasya Sarva Karmani? Weaken this notion of doership. Another practical meaning is, those karmas which are draining our time, which are not contributing towards our goal, those karmas we should give up. It is neither our duty, nor our goal, nor that karma is contributing towards our goal. We end up doing it because we have desire for it. Either vasana is there, something is there which is pushing us there. Bottom line is, it is draining our time. So Sanyasya Sarva Karmani is, first give up those karmas which are draining our time. Bhava Bandha Vimuktaye. Bhava Bandha Vimuktaye means, for liberation, this person has to put forth effort. Yatyatam. Bondage will not go away by itself. Liberation will not come by chance. One has to take active measures. And this is the first step. What are the qualities of that person? He says, Pandita is the first quality. Pandita has a specific connotation here. Pandita means he has heard about existence of truth. He is not an ignorant person. He knows that God exists. He knows that there is something called as Brahman. If he already knows that, what does he not know? What he doesn't know is, I am that Brahman. What he doesn't know is, I am that truth. My essential nature is essential nature of God. So one who has the first knowledge, 50% knowledge, God exists, God is of the nature of bliss, that person is called Pandita. He is not an ignorant person. This self-control and all it will not appeal to somebody who doesn't have some higher goal. That is why the word Pandita is used. And Pandita is not worldly Pandita. Pandita is somebody who has heard spiritual knowledge. He knows about nature of truth, but he has not owned it up yet. Pandita means one who is able to think little deeper. On one topic, he can think systematically. When we say Vyakarana Pandita, right, what does it mean? On Vyakarana, he can think systematically. Not easy, huh? Until that last form comes, you have to keep thinking. How did it go from form A after 10 steps to form B? So similarly here, any spiritual idea, he is able to think systematically. That is his ability. And dhiraha. Dhiraha means person who is introverted. Not the colloquial sense of introvertedness. One who has turned the mind within. At least short duration, he can withdraw the mind from outer world. Turtle example is given, Bhagavad Gita. How it withdraws its limbs, like that this person can withdraw his mind. Atmabhyasa upasthitahi. Atmabhyasa upasthitahi means he is a full-time seeker, not part-time. Weekends I seek, weekdays I do something else. He says, what I do is also seeking. Whatever responsibilities I'm taking care of, that is also my way of seeking Bhagavan. That person is called as Atmabhyasa upasthitaihi. Atmabhyasa means he likes to think, talk only of spiritual matters. Chandrasekhar Bharati Swamiji, that is how he describes. Atmabhyasa upasthitaihi means tatchintanam tatkathanam anyonyam tat prabodhanam. Thinking, speaking, discussing. All of those are spiritual matters. Now it is not that whenever you talk to that person, he always talks about Atma and Atma. What it means there is, his taste for worldly talks has gone down. The moment some other conversation starts, he will find the first opportunity to move away. That is the sadhaka. In fact, that is the main thing which Gurukula teaching gives us. Ashram living and teaching. The teaching part is mostly similar. Mundaka Upanishad here and Mundaka Upanishad in ashram is same. But what is the difference? That spirit is there, that we are full-time seekers. You will feel that even if you come to some camp. What is the difference between camp experience and 1 hour per week experience? Camp experience, this thought comes, I am a full-time seeker. In Siddhabari, Gurudev would give orange gowns also. He would call it as temporary sannyasa. And only when you wear it, you realize it creates an impact. Same impact. Atma abhyasa upasthitai. Whenever you hear this word Atma abhyasa or Jnana abhyasa, it refers to Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. He is 100% committed, that is fine. What is he committed to? He is committed to listening about scriptures, reflecting on those scriptures, and meditating on nature of truth. That is Atma Abhyasa Upastitaihi. Gurudev writes in one place, Taponji Maharaj, he never encouraged too much talking between students. He would say, it is all within you, go find it. If your discussing helps you in that, little bit is okay, but that is not our main sadhana. What Upanishads are trying to show, have you seen it or not? That is Atma Abhyasa Upastitaihi. Next verse is very popular and important verse. What is the true purpose of actions? Chittasya shuddhaye karma natu vastupalabdhaye vastu siddhir vicharena nakinchit karma kotibhihi Chittasya shuddhaye karma natu vastupalabdhaye vastu siddhir vicharena nakinchit karma kotibhihi. Chittasya shuddhaye karma. The purpose of doing actions, responsibilities, duties in life, the main purpose is purity of mind. Natu vastupalabdhaye, it is not to attain the truth. I think by now all of us are very well convinced that karma will not give moksha. If you say no, Shankaracharya is going to add 5 more verses. 6 verses already he spoke, that karma will not give you moksha. The point here is, whatever actions we do, they have results at 2 levels. One is outer result, another is inner result. Outer result is material prosperity. If a person works hard, does karma well, no matter which field it is, it's only a matter of time he'll become very good in that field. What about inner result? Inner result is he will get purity of mind. Mind will be more peaceful, joyous. Now generally our attention goes very well on outer result. And it is very difficult to pay attention to inner result. If we get outer result at the cost of inner result, that equals spiritual loss. Means before starting some action, we had, Swami Shantananji calls it as hit list number. Sandamon Yajna, he said, our hit list should not have 100 people. 1 or 2 is okay. If let's say 1 or 2 people were there with whom we were having conflict, and after doing that action, everything was successful, but our list increased to 100. He says we got outer result at the cost of inner result. What is your spiritual gain? He says spiritual gain is 0. The point here is, any karma that we do, along with outer result, one has to pay attention to inner result, which our mind generally doesn't pay attention to. Puja Guruji was sharing this. He went to some home of a devotee, elderly devotee, and his granddaughter, she would bring him to the talks. Whatever Guruji used to teach, this granddaughter would hold his hand, bring him to the talk, sit in the talk and take him back. So one day he went to that person's home for bhiksha, and everybody was praising that young girl, that she does so much seva. Grandfather she takes to satsang and takes very good care of him. Guruji said, I had Vedanta Samskara. So this thought came to my mind, she is doing such good seva. She will get a pure mind. As he was thinking, somebody said, it seems, oh, you are doing such good seva, you will get a good husband. And he said, nothing wrong in seeking good husband, but our mind always misses on inner result. Outer result is very easy to quantify, but that inner result is often missed. Now, how do we know whether the actions we are doing, are they bringing purity or not? In Bhagavad Gita and other texts, Bhagavan mentions this in several ways. They are very helpful metrics. All of us are doing actions, we are fulfilling our roles and responsibilities. How do we know whether that is actually giving us inner benefit? First thing Bhagavan says, whenever we start doing actions in the right way, that sadhaka will become more aware of his own weaknesses. That is one sign of purity. If there is a dirty cloth and you put little more dirt on it, and you ask the person, find where the dirt is. If there is so much, you don't know where it is. But if there is a clean cloth and little bit of dirt, that is very distinctly visible. So what is the sign of purity of mind? That our own weaknesses become very blaring and visible. See, to practice forgiveness, acceptance in a forest is very easy. Because trees don't do too many things. Animals are by themselves, they will look at you and go. But the same values to practice in the midst of actions, that will show us the quality of our mind. And if we don't do it, we will live in a false sense of perfection. Means, if we don't have actions, we might live in a false sense of perfection. So that action will become the platform for me to notice my own weaknesses. How do we know we have strength? Only when we lift something. So these actions, one sign of purity, that actions are done for Chitta Shuddhi, is that person becomes more and more aware of his own weaknesses. Now Arjuna's question in 3rd chapter was this. He said, if knowledge is going to come through study and contemplation, why are you asking me to fight this war? Tatkim karmani ghore mam. And what did Bhagavan say? Don't think that by avoiding Duryodhana, you are going to attain perfection. If you are in the battlefield, you can fight with a sense of duty and yet not harbor ill will towards Duryodhana. Then hats off to you. How is karma bringing Chitta Shuddhi there? That same weakness that a person is able to overcome. Means that particular karma will become a platform. Ramakrishna Paramahansa calls it as hospital. He says, what is this world? Hospital to cure our mind. Whatever weaknesses I have, nicely it will wash and send us back. Provided we do karma with the right spirit. If we focus on others' weaknesses, he says they'll be on their own journey. What is it benefiting us? So the second aspect of purity of karma is we learn to see beyond others' weaknesses. Sapane ho nahi, dekh hai paradosha. Even in dream, this person doesn't see any faults, means he is seeing that divinity more and more. Puja Gurudev has a quote, I'm blanking on the exact words. He says, see the Lord behind the angry eyes of the other. Like that, he has given certain emotions. Are we able to see it? If yes, that is our spiritual growth. That is karma bringing chitta shuddhi. That is the second one. Third one is, his vasanas don't get deepened. And no new vasanas get added. This point in every Bhagavad Gita class, Gurudev would emphasize. What is Karma Yoga? No new vasanas are created, existing vasanas are exhausted. And you see what happens sometimes? We start with few desires. By the time we complete even some good action, we end up with more desires than what we started. Because our contact points have increased. The moment you say karma, we will have to interact with people. Moment we interact with people, more tendency to create new vasanas. So what is chitta shuddhi through karma? That there are no new additions to our already existing baggage. That is the third facet. And the last one is, person can take critique well, and person doesn't seek praise or recognition. Person can take critique well means mellowed doership. What in Vedanta we call as kartrutva. Because karma has this tendency. The moment you do any action, it will increase doership. And if it is successful, it will increase enjoyership. Bhokturtva will increase. So that seeking for praise and recognition is deep-rooted bhokturtva. That is also one form of very subtle bhoga, where the ego feels satisfied. And karma will bring it. If some person is successful, naturally he will get praise. Recognition will come unasked. What is purity of action for him? Purity of mind through action for him? He doesn't crave for these things. So sign of mellowed doership, mellowed enjoyership. That is the meaning of this particular verse. Chittasya shuddhaye karma. Natu vastupalabdaye. Karma is not going to give us the truth. Vastu siddhir vicharena. We will attain that truth only through vichara. Because it is lost due to ignorance. I don't have to gain Brahman. I don't have to attain Brahman. I just have to know that I'm already it. So vastu siddhir vicharena nakinchit karma kotibhihi. No matter how many actions we do, it will not lead us to that truth. So our goal has to be clear, and means also have to be clear. Our goal is Brahman, and means is not sadhana. Everybody comfortable, right, with this? Sadhana will bring purity of mind. With that pure mind, I have to inquire. With that pure mind, I have to do Shravanam, Mananam. And understand that I was Brahman all the time. I am Brahman. There was never a time I was something else. I thought myself to be this Jiva. So that clarity will not come through sadhana. And I should also appreciate what is the path of sadhana. All these facets which are bothering. Doership, enjoyership. To mellow down all of that, that is the part of sadhana. Now he gives a very famous example. See the 12th verse. Samyak vicharata siddha rajju tattvavadharana bhrantyodita mahasarpa bhava dukkha vinashini samyak vicharata siddha rajju tattvavadharana bhrantyodita mahasarpa bhava dukkha vinashini. Bhaya dukkha also might be there. Both readings are there. Samyak vicharata siddha. Only by clear thinking and getting clarity about the substratum, the fear of the superimposed will go away. To illustrate this point, he is giving the example of snake and rope. Formally in Vivekachoodamani, this is the first introduction. Okay. Any Vedanta class, if you don't hear snake and rope by 4th class, you should check the validity of that Advaita Vedanta. Such a powerful example. He says, if there is a semi-dark area and a rope lying there, if it is completely dark, you can't see anything. If it is lit up, you know it's a rope. But it is semi-dark. And you see a snake there. Now that fear which is rising because of that illusory snake, he asks us, by what means will that fear go away? If somebody says, if you see a snake, walk carefully from the side. Don't step on it. It will not do anything. Somebody says, I'll take a shower and come, hoping that the snake will go away by then. It is still there. He says, okay, now I have taken a shower, I will chant Garuda mantra. The mantra for driving away snakes. Or you call some snake charmer. Do whatever you want, it will not truly solve that fear of snake. What will solve it? Rajju tattva avadharana. Avadharana means firm conviction that this is rope alone. Not doubtful knowledge. My friend tells me it's a rope. Maybe it's a rope. That is not avadharana. Still doubt is there. When this happens, bhrantyodita mahasarpa, that notion of snake which was arising because of bhranti, because of erroneous thinking, bhaya dukkha vinashini, that right thinking will remove this fear rising because of erroneous thinking. Okay, snake and rope example is good. What is the main point he's trying to say here? You see this chart. What is the rope over here? Om is the rope, consciousness, Brahman or Atman. Which one is the snake over here? Everything, very good. Snake is not one amongst these things. All of anatma put together is snake. Why is this snake appearing? Because my attention is not on the substratum. When will my fear of this snake go away? When I start getting conviction about this substratum. Avadharana word is important. Not maybe I am Brahman. Not scriptures say I am Brahman. Not Guru says I am Brahman. What is avadharana? I have conviction that I am Brahman. Unless that happens, the fear rising out of the superimposed, that fear will not go away. Whatever methods we try, it will give some solution, just like that snake charmer, some mantra solution, staying away from that snake, befriending the snake. All of them are solutions. It will at least quieten down the agitation. But true solution is know that there is only rope. Even if we find this to be slightly difficult, Shankaracharya said, don't worry, we are just in the 12th verse. Whole of Vivekachoodamani is to explain this point. How by knowing the self, our sorrow will go away. And this point we have to keep thinking for ourselves, even in discussions. How will Vedanta do dukkha nivrutti? Okay, that we can keep thinking. More we will see in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.